everyone doing out there? Welcome to a Word Hole Media presentation of Major League A-Holes in the Hole and Socks type thing. Happy New Year, I'm Pete.
I'm Ryan. You are in the hole with Major League A-Holes for the first time in 2024.
Woo!
This might be a terrible idea that we're recording today. It's a snowy, cold, frigid Monday morning. You and I are both hungover for very different reasons. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Fortunately, your Cowboys did not give you the birthday present you deserved.
No. Big changes coming in Big D.
Yeah, this is not a football podcast, but we definitely need to talk a little football briefly because
Congratulations.
Detroit
to
Lions.
Your Detroit Lions.
Thank you. They won their first fucking playoff game in 30 plus years. Do you remember the first time Nirvana played on SNL? This is a seminal moment in my life because I had just heard of Nirvana maybe 2 months before that, 3 months before that. It was the fall.
Yeah, I remember that.
I could not believe that they were already going to be playing Saturday Night Live. That was 1 week after the Lions' last playoff victory. Lions won January 5th, 1992. Nirvana was on Saturday Night Live January 11th, 1992. So that kind of puts things in perspective. So, yes, I had a few beverages late into the evening last night. It sounds like you were drinking some bourbon over there.
I was having Blanton's, very hard and to find bourbon, but it was my birthday, so unfortunately, it was less celebratory because of the Cowboys loss, but beat down, yeah, embarrassment.
Yeah, that was embarrassing.
It was very embarrassing. But I'm also a tennis fan, so the Australian Open was on. So
tennis fan, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I was watching the Australian Open.
I would have never guessed.
Yeah, so there was some good tennis there.
You got a side tennis podcast going with your buddies over there?
No side tennis. It would be Robin and I doing it, and we'd probably just argue. So not that it wouldn't be.
Are there tennis podcasts? Yeah, I guess there must be.
It has to be. I mean, I would just dedicate mine to the GOAT Djokovic and just fawn over him for hours. Yeah. Okay. Right. Anyway, let's move on to. Why don't we move on to what this podcast is about?
Yeah, we're going to talk some baseball here. We wanted to jump on to a quick show for January. There's been a little bit of news. Your Giants are wheeling and dealing, making the biggest moves of the 4 teams we cover. So we'll get into all that. The Cubs had their Cubs convention this past weekend, also known as Cubs Con. Or as I like to call it, Cubs Con Job.
Yes, I saw that. I like that.
Yeah, I actually wrote a blog piece this weekend to kind of talk about that. So we'll go over that stuff. You've got something to talk about with the White Sox. I have no idea what's going on with you guys.
There's always something to talk about the White Sox.
Yeah, well, I'm dying to hear what you've got to say over there. So we also have our first asshole of the week for 2024. That was a slam dunk, kind of a very fucked up story. So we will get into that. So we might as well go ahead and jump into the news.
Yeah, Giants making some noise, First, they did the Robbie Ray trade where they thankfully sent one of the harder names to pronounce on this podcast.
I was thinking about that.
DeScalfini,
I believe.
DeScalfini. And unfortunately, Mitch Haniger, who I always like talking about Haniger.
Yeah.
And $6 million to the Seattle Mariners for Robbie Ray.
Bold move, my God.
Yeah, it is a very bold move. It's as I joked with you, they already did a mid-season move, striking before the season started, as Robbie Ray won't be even available till probably after the All-Star break. It's like
he's recovered from Tommy John surgery, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like he'll be a trade deadline move, but we did it before the season even started.
That's bold.
Yeah, it's bold. it's questionable because well, it was a little more questionable till we talk about their next move. But like you got like Alex Cobb coming off a hip surgery, so he may not even be available to start the season. So you had this question mark on like what is the rotation even going to look like to start the season. And then just the other day, a couple days ago, they signed Jordan Hicks to a $44 million deal, 4-year, $44 million contract. He's 27. They're going to use him in the starting rotation.
Yeah.
He's been he's also had some injury issues.
So they're gonna give him more innings in a starting role rather than a reliever role that he's been.
Yeah, exactly.
That's curious, I would say.
Yeah. While they've been making moves, I'm not not quite sure what the end game is here, because we got former Cy Young candidate we won't have until mid-season.
2021 Cy Young Award winner Robbie Ray.
Yeah. 2021 too. So you're talking like 3 years removed.
Yeah.
Coming off
Tommy John.
You've got Jordan Hicks, who is a fireballer, but obviously he's not going to be throwing probably 100 miles an hour consistently if he's going to be a starter. So
yeah,
what are they going to retool his
arsenal?
Thank you. So
we're struggling today.
Yeah,
folks, you need to help me out. I will help you out as much as I can, but we're struggling.
So I mean, I don't know what I can't even tell you outside of Logan Webb what this starting rotation is really going to look like when I believe, by the way, we are like 73 days away from opening day. By the way, that's really close. I saw that this morning.
Pitchers and catchers probably report in a month.
Yeah,
less than a month, maybe.
Less than a month, probably like 2.5, 3 weeks. So
it's 5 degrees outside my window today.
You're a whole no, it can't be 5. We're like negative. It's bad here.
Yeah, I'm up to 5.
You're up to 5. We're negative 5.
I might go for a walk after this.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say I might go for a jog because it was negative 10 yesterday. So
Jesus Christ.
But like they've made moves. I just like are they conceding to the Dodgers before the season starts and looking to next year and positioning? Like, to me, the Robbie Ray move is a long-term move.
Yeah. How long is he under contract?
I think he's still got he still has like 2 more years after this season. So I like that. But it's like I said, I'm just at a loss of words of you already had these injuries within your rotation as is, and then you're bringing in 2 pitchers, both who Jordan Hicks had Tommy John in like 2019, converting him from a fireballer reliever to a starter. And
seems like the opposite of what they should be doing. If he was an oft injured starter, it would make sense to throw him at the bet in the make him a fireball throwing reliever. But Farhan Zaidi, that's another name we've always had trouble pronouncing on that.
Yeah.
On this show, your general manager, president of baseball ops, whatever they're calling him. He's making, I would call these high risk, high reward moves. I mean, this is about as high risk as it gets.
Right.
It sounds like, I think your idea might be right. Maybe are they punting this season in favor of seasons to come, considering the holes in your rotation potentially, or lots of variability with players coming off injury.
Yeah, I mean, they have the money to go if they wanted to go get Snell. I mean, they've been one of the teams listed.
Yeah,
I think he wants to stay out on the West Coast.
Sounds like he's a West Coast guy, so I think that makes sense. I had a little bit about Snell when we get to the Cubs, but yeah, that would I think he would make more sense in San Francisco than Chicago. But
yeah, so I mean, that's a possibility too. And then if that happens, then you're going, okay, well, now it is starting to shape up, especially unfortunately, like it's looking better for this year. But then when you're looking at what the rotation could be, we haven't even started 2024, and I'm already talking about 2025. But what that rotation looks like in 2025, you start to go, okay, yeah, this is this. They're going to have, and all the young position players are going to be another year older, and you're hoping another year better, and then maybe add some more free agents. So I just have a strange feeling they are sort of like, we got to kind of roll through this season and position ourselves for 2025.
Boy, that's
So,
I don't think any of our teams have ever given us those thoughts where we're thinking, well, maybe a longer term with the White Sox, but for a team that seems like they should be in contention right now,
yeah,
it's a strange maneuver. That's what makes me think there's more coming. I think the Snell idea makes sense. Maybe was it Jordan Montgomery?
yeah, Jordan Montgomery's a name too out there.
That could be that would start to crystallize what the plan is. And
Right.
I can't believe they would at least make it appear that they're punting on the 2024 season. So I think there's got to be more down the road for you guys.
Yeah, they just have to do something with the rotation, really. I mean, I feel like, the offense will be, it has been, very good over the last few years. So it's just getting that rotation sheared up. So yeah, well, I'm like I said, I agree. I do agree with you. I think there's more to come there, but it's just like a big question mark right now. Like what is this?
TBD.
Yeah, what 2024 is going to look like. But I think that's about all I got from my Giants today.
Well, at least your Giants are making moves, bold moves. Maybe they are high risk, but there's potentially high reward. On a different side of that spectrum would be my Chicago Cubs, who until last week were the only Major League Ball club that had failed to make any free agent moves or trades this offseason. Out of all 30 teams, 29 had made some sort of moves, and Cubs had not until curious. I would say a curiously timed signing. I mean, it has to do with Shota Imanaga's posting from the Nippon League in Japan. That had to be resolved this past week. So I guess that timing makes sense, but it's also well timed for Jed Hoyer and the Cubs, as the Cubs convention was this past weekend. Imanaga's signing was officially done Thursday, as CubsCon started on Friday. A splashy move, I guess, until you kind of look deeper into it. He's really a number 3 starter when it comes down to it. He's had one of the best pitchers in Japan over his 8-year career. There's no doubting that. But kind of a junk ball pitcher, lefty, 30-year-old lefty. Sits 91, 94.
Yeah.
Fastball. Crazy movement. He's got plenty of stuff, I guess you'd say, but just not a fireballer. It's interesting because it sounds like he wanted to come to Chicago as much as Chicago wanted him, because he's been in the city for months now. He's been at Blackhawks games, and I don't know if he has an apartment or what's going on, but people were seeing him around Chicago back in November even. So he was dying to come
at the
here.
Starbucks.
That famous Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of makes sense that he really wanted to be here. When you look at the deal they signed, that's another confusing thing. I've seen it characterized as a 4-year, $53 million deal. I've seen it characterized as a 5-year, $80 million deal. I've seen it also characterized as a 2-year, $30 million deal, because there's I think either a mutual or a club option after 2 years. I think it's a club option, actually, that they can get out of it. So this is I don't think it's a bad move. It's just another in a long line of Jed Hoyer moves that are just underwhelming. Again, it's a it's a big market team making small market moves. This is a shrewd. It's a low risk, high reward deal. They could be off the hook in 2 years and only give up $30 million. Great. Why do we need a rotation full of number 3 starters? Aside, aside from Justin Steele, of course, but
yeah,
this is the same conversation I was having with myself last season when we signed Jameson Tyone. Well, I thought of him as a number 4 starter at the time. Not a bad signing, but if that's the move you're going to do, a bit underwhelming. Imanaga is a mere replacement at this point for Marcus Stroman, who you can debate the merits of his performance as a Cub. He was brilliant at times, and other times he was injured and not so brilliant. So they're kind of treading water to the point now where, I was complaining last year about Tyone being their number 4 starter. Well, he's the number 2 starter in the rotation at this point.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're going backwards.
Yeah.
That wasn't the only little bit of treat for Cubs fans marching through ice and snow to get to CubsCon this weekend. There was a major trade. Hoyer traded for Michael Busch from the Dodgers, number 2 prospect. I looked it up. He's the number, at one point at least, he was the number 44 overall prospect in baseball. So certainly nothing to sneeze at. But it seems to be the Cubs' solution for first base, which is interesting as they have not parted ways, but Cody Bellinger is a free agent to be signed. There's plenty of rumors out there that they may still sign him. Even if they do, that would be, pretty much status quo. I guess Busch could move over to third base, which I don't believe he's played very much of that in the minors in his career. So, but again, Busch is a total wild card. He's a top prospect, but he's never done it at the major league level. People are comparing him to the idea of bringing Matt Mervis up last year, and that certainly failed. So it's just another in a long line of curious moves, not very bold moves like your Giants are making. It's, I've keep saying it over again. The Cubs are confusing activity for accomplishment.
Right.
I was going to make that joke, 2 weeks ago when we may have done this podcast earlier. They were going to thwart that idea by not doing anything. So how can you accusing activity for accomplishment if you have no activity?
We're going with a different direction this year. We're keeping the team status quo.
He checkmated me again. Damn you, Hoyer. But instead, they have made a couple moves, but it's the same thing. Just acting a big market team, acting like a small market. I was being generous last week, calling them a middle market team. That narrative, which I believe is true, it's not just some crackpot podcaster like me espousing that. Those questions are coming directly to Jed Hoyer now. That's one of the best things that came out of CubsCon this weekend. He was asked directly why this perception of the Cubs acting like a small market team. And to my astonishment, Jed Hoyer embraces that. He literally, I've got the quote here. Let me read this. Jed was asked about being labeled as having a small market mentality. Quote, I think that's what we want to have. We want to find value.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's fine. I can't argue with wanting to find value, but to have the small market mentality is ridiculous. And I would call it disingenuous, but it's not, because he's telling you exactly what they're doing. He also points out that they have the ability to sign the Swansons of the world too, but you don't want to be profligate with your money. Everyone had to go run to their dictionaries to look up what profligate means. Of course, it just means reckless. But to that on Twitter, I responded with the definition of commensurate. I think your spending should be commensurate with your vast resources. And that has been the crux of my argument all along. This is a major market team.
God.
pretending that they need to find value everywhere instead of splashing cash around that recklessly. That's not what I want either. I do want them to find value. Everybody does. But to continually finish in third place in these free agent, sweepstakes, as
Yeah, I mean,
discussed last show.
We talked about it with the White Sox last show that if they had just gone out with, after the 2020 season and Reinsdorf had actually opened the pocketbooks and brought in like 2 or 3 like veteran, real big money free agent guys.
They never made the big move.
They would have made. They probably. You could argue that they probably would have won a World Series, right? At least gone.
I would not.
But you would have because you picked them. But they would have made it out of the first round of the playoffs at least. Let's say that. Let's agree on that.
I can agree to that. Yes.
Let's agree to that. So, like, you look at the Cubs now, and while the World Series taste is a little less removed than the White Sox, they are basically acting like the freaking White Sox do right now, and it blows my mind. It's like someone like Ricketts started having dinners with Reinsdorf, and it was like, it's just wild to me. Like,
maybe the Cubs will move to Nashville. That'll be the next bombshell.
I mean, it's like Jed Hoyer's auditioning to be the next White Sox GM. He's like, I mean,
yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, to your point on at first, the signing of what's it, Imanaga, I was like, oh, that seems like a pretty good move. But then, like I started reading up on the guy, and like Baseball Prospectus has him as like a 4 or 5 starter in Major League Baseball.
Oh, yeah, I've seen 3. That's what I've been characterizing.
And he allowed 17 homers in last year.
That's the part I forgot to bring up. Yeah, he doesn't walk anybody, which is great. But he is prone to giving up homers, and that's I forget how it works. That's hard to know how that translates, just because the ballpark size is different. I think most are in domes in Japan, so it's hard to say how that will translate. But to your point, and we're both making it, it's an underwhelming sign.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's fine if that's your third or fourth move of the offseason, not your first splashy move. And you brought up the World Series. The Cubs need to be contending for a World Series every season. And the way they're acting, the frugality and the being so careful with their money and their ideas is just going to be eternally frustrating. And that's why I'm happy that these questions are coming directly to Jed Hoyer now through the regular media.
Right.
Why are you acting like a small market team? That's the funny part. They're even going for the jugular. I was being.
You're saying mid-market at least.
I think I was being generous, just calling them a mid-market. My caustic podcasting blogger mentality wasn't even caustic enough, apparently. So these questions are now out there and are going to be continued to be asked. So I love that part of it. Maybe it'll actually light a fire under their ass and get them to do something. There are free agents still out there. There's still time, like we just talked about with the Giants. Bellinger, I've talked about this. I don't want to sign him to a long-term deal. Sounds like those long-term deals are not out there for he and Scott Boras to have because he is still yet to sign. I'm not against Bellinger coming back for a short amount of time, but the main reason I was against it earlier is because he's demanding a 6-7 year deal, and there's just no way I'm going to give that guy that kind of time and money. But if they can get him for 2 or 3 years, that's a different story. Again, we're still treading water because he was, their best offensive player for 5 months last year. That would just be replacing him with himself. So it's not that the Cubs are improving necessarily.
And to your point, like you pointed out, I'm going to say point a bunch of times right now.
We're hungover.
To your point about everyone catching on that he can't hit a freaking fastball. I mean, you wonder what this season's really going to look like for him. Is it going to be is the reason he hasn't signed, to your point, the long-term deal isn't there because everyone's a little sketchy that he's going to be able to repeat what he did
Absolutely
for last year. So
and that I have to give Jed some credit here, as I browbeat him to death. He's playing the long game. If there's no one bidding for Cody Bellinger, why would the Cubs be bidding against themselves? So,
exactly, 100%.
He could be just playing the long game, and I'm sure that is what he's doing. It's just frustrating to watch this for 2 years straight, the same types of moves, and to have them finally admit this is exactly what they're doing. This is their plan. Again, they could still go after another starter. We already mentioned Blake Snell, reigning Cy Young Award winner, National League. Issues with him. I think he doesn't want to be anywhere but the West Coast, but he also doesn't get out of the sixth inning.
Yeah, 100%.
As good as he was, he doesn't pitch deep. I think he only pitched 180 innings last year.
No, you definitely have to have a bullpen if he's your starter.
Yeah, and so I'm a little dubious there. The move I would love to see, and I think would make a ton of sense on many levels, is Josh Hader. Secure the back end of the bullpen. He's coming off a fantastic year, 35 saves, mid-1 ERA, low-1 WHIP season. Obviously, is the former connection with Cubs manager Craig Counsell. He was asked about that at CubsCon this weekend, and he said they have a good relationship. I think that would make sense. Hader is 30 years old. I think that's the move. It would also be fun just to throw it more in the face of Brewers fans that we are basically taking the best parts of their former franchise, and doing great things with them. Hopefully, I think that would make sense. But there's, again, there's still a lot of work to be done. And Hader, again, I keep thinking the later we get into this offseason, deeper into free agency, the deals that Scott Boras and free agents were looking for, mostly long-term deals, are not there. So the longer that this goes, the more, even though it is frustrating, the better it might turn out for the Cubs if they can sign these guys to shorter-term deals. Again, I like Hader. I would not sign him to a 4 or 5 year deal that he's probably asking for. I wouldn't sign any reliever to that extent. Even though he's been great, and he is turning 30. I think he turns 30 like by opening day. So, 2-3 year deal, massive money. I don't care. Give him tons of money. Just don't give him tons of years. That's the kind of thing that'll get me fired up about this offseason. So maybe that's what Hoyer has in mind. I guess we can only hope. But other than that, I think that's it for my critique of Cubs convention, Cubs Con, the Cubs Con job, as I like to refer to it.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move over to what do we call this? Kansas City North, or
Chicago Royals.
Chicago Royals. Who? Let's talk about this real quick. You're getting lit up. You're getting lit up. Was it last week by some dude saying you stole his graphics or something?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Twitter?
Yeah. I just made my stupid graphics I've been making forever, but yeah, I combined the Royals logo cleverly, quote unquote, with the Sox logo. It actually works really well together. If you check out the website, you'll see that.
Yeah.
But yes, someone accused me on Twitter of ripping off his logo, and I'm like, well, I made this myself. It's not all that revolutionary. I'm sure many people had the same idea, but he could produce no evidence that he had actually created anything, where I have months worth. I think I posted that back in August. First time I made that logo. So yes, I thwarted his argument. He actually deleted the tweet, because I'm like,
who? I don't know. First, you were like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know who you are. And I posted the link to our story back in August, where I first started talking about this. So.
It gave me a hearty chuckle.
Yeah, Don't fuck with me with graphics, man. I've been
That's
doing this
right.
for
This is
25
graphics
years.
boy.
I wanted to see what he did because I was gonna just blow it out of the water. I'm sure he used Photoshop or
This is graphics
Corel
boy over
Draw.
here. This graphics boy right there. Don't
Yeah.
mess with him. So speaking of Royals North, let's just get this out of the way.
Yeah.
In a non-stunning move, the White Sox went ahead and hired an assistant GM. Guess
Could he be from
what?
the former Royals somehow?
Yes, he is from the Royals. Jin Wong. He's the assistant GM for the White Sox now. He was a Royals executive for, I don't know, almost 2 decades. He
Okay.
was part of the World Series team, so he's got that under his belt at least.
Well, and
So
there's the argument why the White Sox might be doing this, but to the extent they're devoting rebuilding their entire organization, the image of 10 years ago Royals is just unreal.
yeah, I mean,
Hilarious.
it wasn't like it was. If they were still having success off of that build from 10 years ago or something, I'd be like, all right, I get it. The Sox are looking for some sustained success. They had
Yeah.
like 2 good seasons, which
Such a strange organization to emulate.
yes,
They
bizarre.
did have 2 great seasons. I
Yeah.
will give them that, but compare the rest of the 40 years between now and whatever the George Brett era. What are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, it doesn't stop there.
Mm.
For the players, at least that I've tracked, all that they've signed, all have royal ties in some ways. Martín Maldonado started out with the Royals.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
can we talk about? Do you
Yeah,
talk
go ahead.
about Maldonado?
Yeah.
What do you think of that move? Actually,
I don't hate the move. I think he's a great defensive catcher, which
he
we
is.
lack.
Yeah,
But
I think it's a smart move.
With the mysterious. Also, both of my teams have mysterious starting pitching staffs coming into the season.
Boy. Yeah, what's your rotation?
And we'll get into the rotation. Some news that came out the other day from Getz about the rotation in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people have just shit on the move. I know it's not a splashy move, but to me, it's a solid move, and it's what they need for these pitchers.
Maldonado made perfect sense with the Astros because they didn't need the offense; they needed a lights out, backstop, for their championship runs, and I thought that made sense. I think he's a good player to have in your roster. It's just interesting the White Sox in the position they're in would go after. It seems like he seems like the final piece on a contender or something.
Yeah, I do agree with that assessment. I think though, like Getz really looking at at the White Sox, it's almost like if we lose it, well, they're not really losing anything offensively because a catcher has not produced offensively since Yasmani Grandel's like first season with the White Sox. So that's kind of been a lost offensive component, but it's almost
had to
like
do something with the defense.
But we had to do something with the defense. And if you're saving runs, which the Sox have not been able to do, if you can start
Run prevention is the name of the game.
Yeah, if they can get decent run prevention, it may be, you may see some more stealing some wins that were losses last year. But you're also now saying we're expecting those guys we always talk about outside of Lewis Robert to, get to their numbers and stay healthy, because that by signing a non-offensive catcher, by signing players who are just really good at defense and have mediocre offensive numbers, you're putting all the pressure back on the core group of guys who are left to all hit their numbers. And there's no reason to believe that's even going to happen. So you're looking at a 2024 as outside of some major moves, which I don't see them making, as another lost season for White Sox fans, because You got like Brett Phillips, sucks, but he's good defensively. He's not your right field solution. You got this. You got the Tim Hill, who came over from San Diego, but he was originally a Royal too, just like Phillips. And then Nicky Lopez. I mean, and then the other middle infield signing is Paul DeYoung, who's
no Royals ties.
No Royals, but Missouri because of St. Louis. So I mean,
close enough.
Close enough. So there's nothing there to make me be excited for 2024 as a White Sox fan right now.
Maldonado,
other than watching Lewis Robert play center field.
Absolutely.
But and I have to take and on that note, I have to enjoy this time with him because he just signed Boris as his agent like 4 days ago. So
you've got him for like 4 more years, though. I think.
Yeah, it's true.
That's
but,
one of the good things that Rick Hahn did.
I'll say 3.5 because if it's not going to work out, that might be unless they're contending in 3 years, which is whatever.
Sure hope so. For the sake of this podcast.
Yeah, for the sake of my
mental
sanity.
health.
Yeah, exactly.
Maldonado, I forgot to mention. I didn't see the full terms of his deal. It's only a 1-year deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many million?
With an option, $4 million, and then an option for another 4, I think, for next year. So
it's 36 years old. Like,
yeah.
This is why I said it makes sense for the final piece of a contender. So I'm confused by this.
But. Yeah, they also acquired like 4 or 5 other fucking catchers. I think we joked about that or a couple podcasts ago. I mean, they've signed like no one to note. I can't even name one of them. Yeah. But like
everyone.
Yeah, it's like when there was a time when they were only acquiring first baseman. Now they've moved to catcher. So I don't know. Right. Yeah. Getz did allude to the fact that, right field is still a hole for them that they are looking to fill.
Since Jermaine Dye?
Yes, since Jermaine Dye, that they are looking to fill. Also former Royal Jermaine Dye.
Oh my God. Never ends.
It goes all the way back to that team.
Should have seen it coming.
Yeah, we should have. So he said it could be, we're not ruling out that it's going to be from outside the organization for obvious reasons. So I don't know what that means. To me, the Sox don't really have anything to trade unless it's, someone like Eloy Jimenez and you're not going to get like a superstar right fielder for that.
Or Dylan Cease.
Yes, Dylan. Then that brings us to Dylan Cease. So Dylan Cease has been linked to the Yankees, to the Dodgers, which I think it's a lot less likely that the Dodgers are in on him anymore, but you never know. They seem to just want to consume as many parts as possible of all of them. And the most intriguing one to me is the Orioles. Because the Orioles have quite possibly, are they I don't know where, I haven't seen the latest farm system ranking, but I think they're like right there at the top. And the things that I hear that I like is the fact that, and I already talked about this, but Getz isn't bending. He's saying, you want this talented, controllable pitcher for the next 2 years. You got to give us, some top prospects. We don't have to trade him.
Yeah. He's not in a position where he has to do anything this offseason.
Yeah.
If somebody wants him, blow him away. That's a good spot to be in. So
yeah. So whether it happens now or maybe it does happen when an injury happens to someone who's in contention and they are really desperate and you're going to get that return you want mid-season. Dylan Cease is not going to be here. He is going to be traded at some point. Whether or not he's traded before the season starts is another question, but he is going to be traded before the season starts because I'm going to make it happen right now during the recording of this podcast.
Wow, you're willing it into existence.
I'm willing
as we
in
speak.
existence because for 4 months I have not unboxed this and put it in the into the set collection of bobbleheads. And the reason
over there.
The reason I know by finally unboxing this and putting him up here, he's going to be traded is because Tim Anderson, rest in peace as a Chicago White Sox.
You're holding up your bobbleheads.
I'm holding up my bobbleheads.
If you're listening to this podcast, he is slowly lifting up his collection of bobbleheads. In his other hand, he has a box with a Dylan Cease bobblehead.
Look, you're the amazing play-by-play guy. You have a future.
Audio medium, but I'm trying to help.
Liam Hendricks. I'm holding up the Liam Hendricks bobblehead. Good luck on the next move.
Being removed. Oh, boy.
And Yasmani Grandal.
Oh.
Good luck ever walking again, buddy.
No.
But you're gone. So now,
what do you do with those retired bobbleheads?
I
donate them to Goodwill, or
I keep them. I like all those guys.
Okay.
I'm not gonna get rid of them.
I was wondering.
So here we go.
Here comes the styrofoam packing. Careful, you're probably making a mess over there. I hate that styrofoam shit. But...
I know. Here we go.
So
Dylan Cease
in the bag. Yes, I can see. This was a giveaway this past season.
Yeah, this was only 2 adults. This is my favorite one to talk about because it's sponsored by Benny's. So kids who really should be the collectors of the bobbleheads to enjoy them as a child couldn't even get one because it was sponsored by Benny's.
You are clearly a child. So
I am a child. Perfect. Look at this. So here he goes. Dylan Cease is being the lone remaining active White Sox player I have in the bobblehead collection is being placed onto the cursed table here.
Oh no.
That will now lead.
I didn't think about that.
In fact, what could be happening as we speak, Chris Getz could be on the phone with the Baltimore Orioles.
He is.
Purging their farm system to move it over to the White Sox. It's happening because Dylan Cease, after 4 months of sitting downstairs in my dumbass memory, not being able to get him up here, is been unboxed. He has been
how long?
Like 4 freaking months. I keep forgetting to bring it up here to the
okay.
To the pod,
it wasn't just for this bit.
To the pod area, yeah. But that's looking at it again. I'm like, I got 3 bobbleheads that are DOA up there as far as White Sox players go that were supposed to be part of a world championship nucleus. So let's just get this trade over and done with. I am now hitting Cease's
bobbling
the head. I'm bobbling.
Well,
so there we go.
If this does not encourage our podcast listeners to also check out our YouTube page or go to our website where all these videos are posted, I don't know what will. So you definitely need to go check out this segment.
So
the Dylan Cease, the Dylan Cease bobblehead was unveiled and placed on the cursed. Is it a desk behind you, or what do you got there?
It's actually
nightstand.
It's they're actually stacked record cases.
Okay, well, whatever they are cursed clearly. So
I repositioned the camera a little bit so we can get them all in. There we go. But speaking of the rotation.
Wow. Okay.
Speaking of injured players and becoming starters, as we were just talking about, Chris Getz mentioned that Garrett Crochet is going to break. He's going to break into the starting rotation this year. That he is going to be stretched out as a starter for the White Sox this year, which is interesting.
I've heard that had been the plan for quite some
time.
It
had always been the plan, but then you wondered after the surgery, after having a couple injuries, actually.
Yeah, what did he have? A knee injury and an arm, or what?
Yeah,
what he had?
Knee and an arm, and and then Chris Flexen, who you go who? Chris Flexen? Yeah, who? I did when I'm like who did they get? He's also going to be in the running for rotation spot. He's terrible. His lifetime WAR is 1.4, and his 2023 WAR was a -1.
Okay.
So
-1, not -0.1, a full negative
no, a
war.
full -1 WAR.
Oh
He
boy,
costs your team a game. So really looking forward to seeing him pitch for the White Sox this season. So yeah,
you never know.
things are really shaping up for the White Sox in 2024. Can you tell how excited I am?
Well, at least you have a new bobblehead to look at for a while.
Yeah, well, maybe he may just get retired like tomorrow. I believe Dylan Cease will be traded this week because of this move. And
We'll have
you
to
can
stay tuned. Yeah, I'll
I'll
be.
thank this podcast, everyone, for getting the ball rolling on this thing.
It all comes back to you.
Yeah. So that's all I got for. And just to update you, no news on Guntgate.
Okay, hold on. We'll get to that in a bit.
But
do you have a broadcaster yet?
Yeah, that was it. Thank you. Maybe. It is the best kept secret. Well, we have no platform to announce it on, because rather than take on the fans head on and deal with the anger, the Sox have, as an organization, have cowered in the corner. I believe there is some sort of season ticket holders event or something like that. But in regards to broadcasting, there has been no news, no announcement.
Somebody's got to call these games on TV at some point, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, unless Stone goes to the Vince Scully move. I don't know.
Stone just does it. That'd be interesting. Or maybe they could like have fans volunteer to call the games.
Maybe an AI. Maybe AI.
Artificial intelligence. Yes.
AI Hawk.
Jerry and Chris Getz are years ahead of the rest of the baseball industry, and they'll just have an artificial intelligent broadcaster.
Yes, Chat
like
GBT with Stoney.
Wow. That's the wave of the future, apparently.
No, after the Tigers poached our awesome play-by-play guy Benetti, they just have said, we'll
figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We got a couple months to go.
Just Google it.
Fans don't need to know.
Well, if that's the end of our White Sox conversation for this show, I think we can wrap this episode up with a first asshole of the week.
Ah, yes. This is no brainer here.
Yeah, I mean this story began back in August, actually, when Wander Franco was put on administrative leave.
Unbelievable.
Apparently for having an inappropriate relationship with a 14-year-old. That was revealed through social media somehow, disturbingly enough. At the time, I thought it was multiple 14-year-olds. Like that was just one girl. Apparently, it's just one, which I guess that's better if there's only one. But regardless, it's a horrific idea. It got even worse though over this break and even last week when it was revealed he was facing charges for sex trafficking and money laundering in addition to the inappropriate relationship. So it's like he was basically trafficking in underage girls, and it's just an awful story. It has been in the news lately, and he's our asshole of the week this week in particular. He finally is facing those charges in the Dominican Republic, and he failed to show up to a hearing for that, for one of those, and which is unreal that was his response to this. He has finally reported he was detained on New Year's Day, in fact, and charged with, I believe the actual charges were sex trafficking and money laundering, but they were reduced to sexual and psychological abuse. That's a big deal that those charges were reduced, and it's kind of a curious happening. Like, how did that happen? Why were they reduced? The first charges, he faced 10 to 30 years in prison if convicted. Now that those are reduced to psychological and sexual abuse of a minor, he faces 2 to 5 years, which still nothing to sneeze at, but just serious, crazy charges. Sounds like he's not even taking them seriously, not showing up. I'm curious about why those or how those charges were reduced, considering our legal system here is certainly airtight, but you wonder what it's like in the Dominican Republic if a multimillionaire is able to have some influence over a judge to get things to work a little bit more in his favor, even when he's caught red-handed. Strange development. I guess it raises lots of questions, but on the baseball side of things, the Rays, they put him on administrative leave immediately. They've handled this the correct way as far as I've seen. This was back in August when the first evidence started coming out on social media. But they had just signed him 2 years previous to an 11-year, $182 million contract.
Right.
Emerging as one of the best young players in baseball. And he's essentially thrown it away. If he is not fully exonerated from these charges, even these reduced charges that he's facing now, he will be banned from entering the United States, which means he is no longer a Tampa Bay Ray, and they will be able to get, I think it was approximately 174 million of that 182 they'd be able to recoup. So he would not be receiving that. It's just a gross story, and especially his reaction to it. I don't see how this ends well. Great for the Rays, they get their money back, I guess, but this 14-year-old has clearly been damaged. Hopefully it's not any more than that, as the original charges suggest that there are several people involved in this. That the mother is also facing charges.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
Yeah,
and that's the whole story is disgusting, but then I heard that and I was like,
yeah,
what is
what's going on?
Yeah, it's a different way of life over there, and
I don't know, but
no, I mean, as far as maybe she was so desperate for money or something that
nobody knows,
got roped into this whole thing. I mean,
I don't know
I'm
the
making
full situation.
I don't really want to read too much about it.
I think we should stop doing that. But
yeah, but there's no doubt. I think the biggest question of this whole thing is, let's say, to your point, he gets exonerated.
He has to be fully exonerated.
Yeah, let's say he gets fully exonerated, which, okay,
doubtful.
I've seen stranger things happen.
Yeah.
Where does that leave him, though?
He comes back to the Rays.
No, I know, but where does that put? What kind of position does that put the Rays in?
That's a great question. I hadn't even considered. I'm glad you brought that up, because this could be years of legal battles. I don't know, but yes, if he does get fully exonerated, what do the Rays do with that? Do they bring him back? I mean, if he has full exoneration, I mean, what can you say? You have to bring him back, and the fans, aren't gonna love it. But if legally he's exonerated, what can you do? You have to. I mean, he's also a fucking great player, so maybe things will blow over eventually. But I think it's a moot point, because I just don't see how we would ever be fully exonerated.
Yeah, I think it is a moot point, but
it's just
the right amount of money shows up somewhere, and
oh boy,
I mean, if you think about $174 million being on the table, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, that there could be some real shady shit in the works over there that
regardless
because
of what we can.
Yeah, because no matter what happens, the facts, there is proof that he was with this girl.
Well, I think that's still going to play out in the legal process, but yeah, I think it's pretty obvious what has happened.
So anyway,
it's going to be hard. It's just a sad and disgusting story. Certainly worthy of our asshole of the week. First one of 2024.
Yeah. All right.
Well, On that note, I do want to not end the show on such a horrific bummer, but you already tried to ruin my bid. But I will end every show until
Oh,
we get an answer. I have one final question for you.
yes.
Did they solve that Sox Park shooting mystery yet?
No, Guntgate remains.
Guntgate or Fupa?
Yeah, it remains a mystery.
Nothing
There,
yet. That's surprising.
last article I read a few weeks back was pretty much the Tribune just thrown in the towel saying, I don't think we're ever going to really know what happened
Yeah,
here.
it's unsolvable. We only have hundreds of witnesses. We have video
Like,
evidence.
like,
We can determine trajectory of the bullet since there are multiple wounds, but we have no idea. Who
yeah.
knows?
I mean, it's like someone got to someone, and
I think that someone might be Jerry Reinsdorf.
right, exactly. And because when
Sorry, did I say that out loud?
when the mayor got involved, like during the core of the story, when it was like hot and everyone was trying to make sense of it, and he made a comment like, well, you know, the police superintendent or whoever was doing the kind of spoke out of turn, and we don't really know what happened. And that was kind of where it ended.
That was that.
That was that. Yeah. So
all right.
we might just put this in, into the great Chicago cover-ups that have happened over the years.
Well, I'm going to continue to ask this question because I feel like it is our journalistic duty to keep asking these questions that certainly involve crime and the safety and well-being of White Sox fans. Seems like a rather important question to have answers to eventually. So
maybe I'll put the old journalistic cap on and
I've been asking you to do this for months.
A call down to the police precinct, let them know my position, and say we're trying to bring closure to this story that we've been covering on our podcast since it happened. Do you have any comments? And I believe
the truth is out there. We need to find it. You need to find it.
No comment, I believe I'll get. But
yeah, I think you'll get that. But we'll keep asking the questions.
Yeah.
Well, I think with that, we can wrap up this quick first show of 2024. Unless you had any shit Pete for anything.
Nope.
Shit Pete forgot.
Nope. Just see you later, Dylan.
We made it. We made it through. You and I are both very hungover, as we mentioned. I'm feeling better actually by now.
Yeah, time to start drinking again.
Yeah, I might. We've got playoff games tonight. I'm actually going to be in Chicago next weekend. You and I need to talk about this. So hopefully the weather changes by then.
It's supposed to be 13 on Saturday.
That's the day I'm traveling in. That sounds great. Hopefully the toilets don't freeze up on the Amtrak again like they did the last time I was traveling in such temperatures. But that is neither here nor there. Until next time, you can check us out on social media at Major League A-Holes and at Sox Type Thing. You can find us on YouTube. Check out our YouTube page so you can see Pete's dwindling and all-powerful bobblehead collection there behind him. That leads to untimely removal of them from the franchise. You can find this podcast anywhere you'd like to find a podcast. Oh, I almost forgot. You can find us on the web at majorleagueaholes.com and soxtypething.com, as well as aesthetics.shop. So with that, I think when we can declare this podcast is over. Peace.
Peace.
Word Hole Media.